one of America's intellectual hubs, yet every night hundreds are forced to sleep outside? New Haven, home to the prestigious Yale University, a symbol of knowledge and civilization. But behind the glow of academia lies the shadow of hundreds of unhoused lives, huddled against the cold night. How can such tragedy exist at the heart of modern society? The truth behind it will leave you stunned. Watch till the end to fully understand. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment if you believe this is unacceptable.
New Haven, a city nestled along the Atlantic coast, bursts into spring with blooming trees, streets filled with music, and lively weekend markets. Nature here seems to preserve the serenity of an academic town, where maple leaves gently fall on ancient stone steps, and sunlight streams through library windows like a scene in slow motion. But behind that poetic scenery lies another New Haven, quiet and full of pain. A New Haven of makeshift tents under bridges, of dry coughs echoing through winter nights, and of children's eyes that don't dare dream of a home with a warm bed. The homelessness crisis here isn't just a series of isolated stories, it's a suffocating picture. Over 550 people go without stable housing every night, many of them despite having jobs. With an average wage of $15 an hour, it's simply not enough to cover monthly rent ranging from $1,400 to $2,000. Meanwhile, only 2% of housing units are vacant, and more than 30,000 people are still stuck on the Section 8 waiting list. We used to think homeless meant addiction or mental illness. That's changing. Maria, a middle-aged woman, spent 90 days in a tent to escape the snow, using a small gas stove to stay warm. Jamal, a young barista, was evicted after his landlord raised the rent by $300. Carla, a single mother, works 2 jobs but still can't afford monthly rent. They are all people whose voices deserve to be heard. Life in New Haven feels like 2 overlapping worlds, on one side, prestigious lecture halls, on the other, dark corners quietly tearing people apart. But what has pushed the city into such a deep homelessness crisis? It's a combination of factors: an unbalanced housing market, incomes that can't keep up with the cost of living, and support policies that are either delayed or ineffective. With only 130,000 affordable housing units across the entire state of Connecticut, and demand far exceeding that, people are forced to crowd together, split housing, or worse, live on the streets. The expansion of Yale University and the rise of high-end developments have unintentionally driven housing prices sky-high, pushing longtime residents out of their homes. Waiters, cashiers, preschool teachers. They've become the silent victims of unchecked growth. Pollution, a silent yet destructive force, is tightening its grip on New Haven's most vulnerable neighborhoods, particularly areas like Fairhaven and the industrial stretch of Long Wharf. 3 major factors are fueling this growing crisis: outdated transportation infrastructure, uncontrolled construction, and small-scale industrial activities that fail to properly treat their waste. Many public buses and private vehicles in low-income areas still run on older diesel engines, releasing high levels of nitrogen dioxide, NO2, and fine particulate matter, PM 2.5. According to the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, neighborhoods near Grand Avenue, home to many working-class families, frequently exceed safe air quality levels during the summer months, increasing risks of asthma and respiratory illness, especially among children. At the same time, a wave of new developments, luxury apartment complexes and commercial buildings, are rising around the downtown core. But with minimal oversight, these projects contribute to excessive dust, noise, and disruption. Over on East Street, in the industrial corridor, several small businesses, laundromats, metal recyclers, and repair shops, have been cited for improper waste disposal. Streams that once supported community life, like those feeding into the Mill River, are now murky, foul-smelling, and dangerously polluted. The transformation of the Mill River, once a symbol of local pride, serves as a grim reminder: when growth goes unchecked, cities risk losing the very foundations that make them livable. Hand in hand with pollution is the harsh reality of life in what many call New Haven's modern-day slums, areas like the makeshift housing around Howard Avenue or near Union Station. Here, makeshift shelters are patched together with rusted metal, plastic sheets, and old tarps. Roofs are held down with bricks or old tires. The ground turns to mud with every rain, and the heat inside these cramped shelters during summer can be unbearable. According to a 2023 report from the New Haven Housing and Community Services Alliance, over 1,800 people are living in substandard, unstable conditions, without proper plumbing, heating, or basic safety. In these neighborhoods, children often miss school to help their families, collecting recyclables, selling snacks on sidewalks, or babysitting younger siblings while parents work night shifts. Many women are employed as housekeepers, dishwashers, or janitors in downtown hotels, earning only $10 to $12 an hour, far below what's needed to afford the average monthly rent of over $1,700. Yet even in these temporary, fragile spaces, the spirit of community remains strong. Neighbors cook for each other, help with childcare, and organize grassroots evening classes at places like Junta for Progressive Action or St. Luke's Episcopal Church. They're not waiting for miracles, they're building light in the shadows of a city that too often overlooks them. Linda, a retired nurse, once had a stable life, but after a medical emergency and overwhelming hospital debt, she was forced to share a home with a stranger just to have shelter. Elijah, a teenager who just aged out of the foster care system, wanders with nothing but a backpack and a sketchbook. Every stroke of his pencil is a dream for tomorrow, but for now, all he needs is a roof over his head. We also can't ignore the healthcare and education systems, once pillars of American pride, now increasingly out of reach for the most vulnerable. Many homeless individuals go without basic medical care due to a lack of ID, no insurance, or simply because no one even knows they exist. The same goes for children living on the streets. It's incredibly difficult for them to attend school regularly, and even harder to access mental health support in an educational setting. In making this documentary about homelessness, what haunts us most isn't the cold or the makeshift tents, it's the eyes of people who still try to smile, even as everything around them is falling apart. And if you feel that too, don't hesitate to leave a comment below. We'd truly love to hear your thoughts. And then, from these very stories, hope begins to grow in the most unlikely places. In a small corner near Wooster Square, Tent City 2.0, a self-built encampment, has become a true community. With the help of over 150 volunteers and dozens of unhoused residents, sturdy shelters made from wood and recycled materials have been built together. This place isn't just a refuge, it's a symbol of community strength. Repair workshops, community meetings, and warm meals are shared here, not through money, but through empathy and kindness. Maria, the woman who once spent 90 days braving the freezing cold, is now the one guiding new residents on how to stay warm using mini gas stoves and hand-folded blankets. "What kept me alive wasn't the food," she says, "it was the kind eyes and the good morning greetings." New Haven is still fighting. If you found this journey meaningful, hit like to help spread the message, and don't forget to subscribe so we can continue sharing real stories from around the world. Organizations like Amistad Catholic Workers, Liberty Community Services, and local parishes are helping stitch torn lives back together. Kids are donating winter gloves. Churches open their doors as shelters on freezing nights. Cafes let unhoused people charge their phones and use free Wi-Fi. Each act is like a small stream, quiet, but steadily nourishing a greater hope. In the heart of a city that seemed to have forgotten its poorest residents, it's the people themselves who are leading the way. It's the community that's rewriting what it means to be a traveler, not just someone who comes to sightsee, but someone who comes to understand, to listen, and to share. Anyone who watches this travel documentary will realize that New Haven isn't just a place of historic churches, the best pizza in America, or Ivy League lecture halls. It's also a place where ordinary people carry extraordinary hearts. That is the core value of this city: resilience, compassion, and a deep sense of community. And that's exactly why we need to keep telling this story, so it's not just a tale of hardship, but a source of inspiration for action, for society, for travelers, and for each of us. Let this video be the starting point for a larger conversation about how we see, understand, and stand alongside the most vulnerable in our society. If you've ever wondered what you can do, then know that sharing this message, leaving an encouraging comment, or simply hitting the subscribe button to support stories that carry human value, that alone is a meaningful act. Every view, every share, can be a spark of light, guiding someone who feels lost in a city that's bright and bustling, but cold and distant. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Remember, a city isn't defined just by its skyscrapers or famous landmarks, but by how it treats its most vulnerable people. By listening, sharing, and spreading this story, you're already becoming a part of the change. If every viewer carries a bit of empathy with them after watching this video, then together, we've planted a seed of goodness for the community. New Haven is a mirror, a wake-up call, and an invitation for all of us to reflect on how we live and how we love. See you on the next journey, where travel isn't just about discovering beautiful places, but about discovering the human heart, and helping shape a more compassionate world.